Hi everybody. So in the previous video, you've seen what is an imaginary number, and you learned a unit imaginary number, which is I. I is called as a unit imaginary number, which is square root of -1. So now we'll move on and understand what a complex number is. A complex number, which is normally written as Z, is a combination of a real number A and an imaginary number BI, where I is square root of -1. A is called as the real part of this complex number, also written as real Z, and B is called as the imaginary part of this complex number, also written as IM, stands for imaginary Z. Now here, A and B both belong to real numbers. So Z, which is a complex number, is a combination of a real number A plus an imaginary number BI. Now, how did the imaginary complex numbers first come into being? Let's say we take a quadratic equation, x squared plus 5x plus 7 equals to 0, and we try to solve it. So x will be equal to minus b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And what we get here is minus 5 plus minus square root of -3 over 2. This is essentially minus 5 plus minus square root of 3i, because I is square root of -1 divided by 2. So what we see over here is we have got two roots and both of them are complex. Minus 5 plus root 3i divided by 2 and minus 5 minus root 3i over 2. So complex roots always comes in pair. And they are also known as complex conjugate pair. They are the complex conjugate pair. See that in these two complex numbers, what differs is the sign in front of the imaginary number. So if I have a complex number Z, which is A plus BI, then Z has a complex conjugate written as Z with an asterisk, and that complex conjugate is A minus BI. These are known as the complex conjugates. Let us try to multiply these two complex conjugates and see what we get. A plus BI multiply with A minus BI. We can use the same method as we use for any other algebraic multiplication. We get A times A, which is A squared, minus A times BI, plus A times BI, and minus B times B, which is B squared, and I times I, which is I squared. Now, in the previous video, you must have seen that if I is square root of -1, then what is I squared? I squared is square root of -1 square, and that is equal to -1. So what we get here is A squared minus B squared times -1, and that becomes plus B squared. So A squared plus B squared is basically A plus BI multiplied with A minus BI. That's it for this video.